So in this video, let me go over some of the homework on 3.8c, which is finding the inverse equation of a given inverse. So the first thing you want to do is to flip-flop the y and the x with their variables. So we have x equals 2 minus 3y. Now all you need to do for Schoology, or to simplify this, is to get y by itself, which means I need to get rid of the 2 and the multiplying by negative 3. First thing I'm going to do is subtract the 2 from both sides. Leaves me with x minus 2 equals negative 3 times y. Now, to get rid of the multiplying by negative 3, I'm going to divide by negative 3. So I'm going to come on in here, and I like to just divide every term by that number already, because it simplifies it for you. And then when you rewrite your answer, you're going to have y, and it's x divided by negative 3. Then I have to be careful. A negative 2 divided by a negative 3 does become positive, so it's plus 2/3. This is considered being in y equals mx plus b format, which means you have the y, the slope is next, and then it's the y-intercept. So that's what Schoology was looking for, the format. Now this here can be typed a variety of ways. I could also move that negative to the top if I want. It can be with the x. Could do that. And there's a handful of other ways, but this is a second option. Now I think what the most common mistake is when people were putting this into Schoology is when I take this equation right here, let me rewrite it for a second. What folks are doing is you're dividing this by negative 3, which is correct, and you can divide this side by negative 3. That's also correct. However, when you typed it into Schoology, the most common error I was seeing was this. You did y equals x minus 2 divided by negative 3. And that absolutely is not correct. If you were to do that format, it would be acceptable if you put parentheses around that, because that's different. So this format here is okay, but what I have written here in just the black without the green parentheses, that absolutely is not correct, so that's why it was kicking back. Because if you kept it like this, what it really meant was y equals x plus 2/3 if you were to simplify that, and this is not the right answer because the slope has to be negative x over 3 and not single x, so this was not correct. Now for this problem, the inverse, again, just flip-flop the x and the y. So then we have this equation here. Now there's a couple different ways you can solve this. The true algebra behind it, remember I can't have the y on the denominator, it needs to be moved to the numerator. So what I might do instead of dividing by the square root of y is multiply both sides by the square root of y. So when you have that, I have x times the square root of y equals 1. Well, can I move this x because I don't want it there? Sure, right now it's being multiplied, so to back out multiplication, I'm just going to divide both sides by that, which would then leave me with having the square root of y equals 1 over x. Now I'm just going to look at it from this point right here. One thing I could have done right here in this equation in the black to get to this right here is I could have made this side here a fraction, so I'd have one fraction set equal to another fraction. When you have just one fraction to another, you can cross multiply. So that would allow you to take the square root of y and bring it up here and bring the x down. If you do that, then what would happen is this here would give you this format that we're looking at now. So let's finish up this problem. When you're at this right here as your final format, it needs to be y equals. Think about how to get rid of a square root. You've done that before. I'm not going to complete the problem right here. I'm going to challenge you to finish this particular step. There's one more step to do to get the right answer. Now for number 3, I highly recommend looking at your notes. We did a problem very similar to this in the note packet. So I'll just get it started, and then I'm going to again challenge you to finish this one off again by looking at your notes and using your algebra knowledge. So to find the inverse again, let's flip-flop x and y. Now this one can also be written as one fraction set equal to another. So if I did that, I could write it as one fraction as another, and then I could bring y plus 4 to the top, and I can bring x down to the bottom. Now I'm going to actually skip that step for now. I'm going to show you the math behind it. The true math would say this. I need to move y plus 4 here to the top. So y plus 4 to the top, it's being divided by. So the math behind it is I would multiply by y plus 4 on both sides. So if I have that, it's y plus 4, and then it's all times x equals 3. Fine, I want y by itself. Do not multiply this x through, just get rid of it. If this side is being multiplied by x, how do you get rid of multiplication? Easiest way is to divide by x. So when you divide by x, what you're going to end up getting is your equation here would be y plus 4 equals 3 over x. Now, if you take a look at it again, I could have just looked at this format here and cross multiplied and jumped right to here. But the math behind cross multiplication are the 2 steps that I showed you. Now at this point here, I'm going to challenge you to finish this problem off and get your final answer.